Wow, never been live before. This is different. Right. Right. Let's get this ready. Welcome. I've never been live before, so what we'll do is we'll wait, say 2 minutes for a few more people to join the live, and then we'll get the ball rolling. Fantastic. Wave back to everyone waving, right? If I'm a little slow, just bear with me. I've never been alive before, so this is my first time being alive on Instagram. Well, second time, to be fair, because I jumped on someone's live the other day. Should be quite interesting. I hope you've all got questions for me, man. I hope you've all got questions on the credit masterclass. Should I be looking here or up there? I think up right by the camera. Right. Do you like this backdrop? It's my bookshelf at home, but correct. So this live is about the credit masterclass and just credit in general. So essentially speaking, any questions you may have around credit or around the masterclass that I offer, then feel free to ask. If you've got any questions regarding your personal sort of issue, then I'll answer that as well. So that's what it's about. But again, I'm more than happy to talk on anything. So if you've got any other questions and you want to pick my brains on something else, then just let me know. So that's that. Welcome, Del Boogie. Right. That's good. So the reason why I chose to go live is I've had a huge amount of influx with regards to just generic questions and so on and so forth, from people asking about credit, asking about CFAS registrations, asking about CCJs, about defaults. You know, what's the way around those, and also just generic questions around the masterclass and what it entails as well. And I thought, you know, it's just best to go live and also just connect with you guys, because I get a fair amount of engagement from you boys and girls on here. And I thought I'd connect and just chop it up with you boys and girls. Need to be careful there. But yeah, good. Right. So it's only going to be welcome, explore with Oge and Neil Farmer and David as well. Welcome. I am Zoe off the earth. Zoe Fourth, sorry. Welcome as well. Welcome. Right. So let's get started. So shoot across your questions. I'll read them and I'll answer. But generally speaking, let's get a few things clear, right? Because I get this quite often. A lot of people think that having a good score is synonymous with having good credit, but I'd actually bust that myth right now, and it's not. I actually have a lot of clients that come to me with really good scores, like 950s, 850s. That's not good, but you get the drift. And they actually do have poor credit. So there are times where your credit score and your actual credit isn't synonymous. Best way of explaining this, I'll do that with a car analogy, right? So you might have a car with a really good body on it, but if the engine beneath is really of poor quality, then, you know, the car wouldn't really get you from A to B. It's the same thing with credit. So you can have a credit score that is quite high, but if you have no history behind that, then, you know, all it is just a credit score. Right. If I have... Right. Thank you, Anil Farmer, for sending in your question as well. Appreciate that. Let's get the ball rolling. If I have defaults from 2017, 2018, and I pay them now, will it increase my credit score? Yes. For two reasons. Number one is you will then have one less delinquent account, so that will improve your credit. Number two is your debt ratio. That's another measure on which your credit is judged. So if you pay that off, automatically it reduces your debt ratio as well. And also, in terms of when you apply for new credit, when lenders are looking at you, they can see that you no longer have any active delinquent accounts. So that would help you massively as well. Whereas if you have an active delinquent account, they see it as more of an ongoing financial trouble or evidence of ongoing financial trouble. So they'll kind of stay clear from you. So in a nutshell, that will help you. In terms of how much by, it depends. You know, it could jump your score up by 50 points, 100 points, or anything in between. Right. Right. That's a really good question from Pack One. The difference is my approach is very tailored, right? And what you find is Experian, by all means, they give good advice, but sometimes it can be very contradictory. And also, if you don't know what to do with it, then you could struggle. And in fact, believe it or not, you could do one thing and someone else could do the same thing, and it would have two completely opposite effects on your credit profile. I'll give you a more realistic example, right? So you log into your Experian and it says to you, right, you need to improve your number of settled accounts, and you run off and you go start improving your number of settled account. Little do you know that whilst you're improving your number of settled account, you're equally damaging your credit age. Unless you know how to do it in a safe manner and you understand how the credit system works and how the algorithm works, you're going to struggle. And that's literally just that. So what's up everyone joining? Yes, Defied Customs, welcome. Toy 010, welcome. Funds, welcome as well. So that's really the answer to that. So yeah, in my opinion, there's a there you go. So in my opinion, that's a massive difference as well. And with that being said, I do think that the credit bureaus and so on and so forth, they give you generic sort of recommendations, and sometimes they're not exactly tailored to your account. And finally, on that point, when you're in the 700s, when you're in the 800s, you probably, if you don't have a real issue as such, you may get away with using the Experian and the Equifax. But what I find is once you go down into the very poor and poor category, it's a struggle to kind of creep back out of that. You're out of your depth with it. That's where you need someone like myself to look through and sort of guide you through the process. And that's what the masterclass does. There you go. That's a perfect example, Pack. That's a perfect example of what I mean in terms of it's very generic and it's not really tailored to your actual credit. You know, it's all computerized, isn't it? Whereas I'm actually sitting down for a few hours, having a look through, building up the strategy. No two strategies are ever the same, because the makeup of your account is completely different to someone else's. An example being, you might have what I call an overexposed account. So we might work on closing some of your accounts, whereas someone else might have an underexposed account. So we might work on building their account even more. So yeah, locate my credit file itself. Right, so really and truly what you need to do will be to download a PDF from your credit referencing agency, that being Equifax or Experian. I'd look through that, and then alongside that, asking you a whole bunch of questions as well, I'd usually come up with the strategy to move it forward. Right. What does the question mark mean right next to the comment box? Let me have a look. Hopefully I don't go off live. Question mark. Questions from your viewers will show up here. Right. Okay. Welcome, JRR Properties. I'm not going to miss a question. I promise you guys, I'll address every question. Right. Welcome, Stylish, Unknown, A1, Kyron as well. Welcome. Thank you, boys and girls, for joining the live. For sure, London. Right. Good question for sure, London. Before that, have I missed any question? Right. Let's go back a little bit, right? Because I want to make sure I don't miss any question. So, welcome, Tom and Jerry. Joe Hunt, I've got your question. Together, will it affect my credit? Sorry, I'm not too sure. Just ask the question in a different way so I get some understanding. And down to For Sure London. Welcome, For Sure London. Are there any guarantees with the Credit Masterclass? Right. If you've spoken to me, right, if I've had, firstly, I do a free consultation. So if you're interested, drop me a DM. I would schedule in a phone call. We'll talk through your needs. I don't always accept everyone, because obviously sometimes it may be a credit issue, sometimes it may be more of a fraud issue because maybe you've got a CFAS registration against your name. But directly to the question you've asked, there is no guarantees, and there are reasons for that. Firstly, it's illegal, it's against the law to offer any guarantees when it comes to credit repairs, right? So do some research on that. It's very easy to find. Very illegal to do that. Secondly, Any company or any companies that are offering guarantees, I would classify those as fraudulent companies. And if you've spoken to me, you would understand and you would appreciate my transparency as well. So I don't really answer what I think you want to hear. I tell you what it is, and you can make a decision based on the Instagram page, based on speaking to me, and thirdly, based on visiting the website. If you feel confident enough to work with me, then by all means. Finally, as well, the reason why there are no guarantees, take away that being illegal and so on and so forth. The reason why there are no guarantees is, what was I going to say? Totally lost my train of thought. Actually, no. Right. There's so many different factors that can affect the whole sort of credit building process. I'll give you typical examples. I would get clients that come to me with 200 or 100 out of 999, and I'd work with them. We'll build their credit up to, let's say, 650, and then they'll disappear, right? They'll disappear. I'm emailing them, getting no contact back from them. In their head, they're happy with 650 and they just sort of crack on with life. And they might pop up in 4 months' time and, it's not convenient and so on and so forth. So if I had given them a guarantee at the start of that, they haven't held up their end of the bargain. So it would never work. I think what you need to do before making a decision would be to look through the reviews on the website, look through the reviews that I post on Instagram, and just have a chat with me. Literally drop me a DM, I'll book in a call, have a chat with me. If you're confident, then let's work. If not, then that's fine. Right. If you don't have, welcome by the way, Everall 2704. If you don't have any activity on your file, i.e. not apply for credit, does your score go up? Or is that a myth? Right, it's not a myth. Your score does go up, but it's, essentially speaking, a one-off. So it doesn't mean that if you keep not having any activity that your score would keep going up. But bear in mind that could work in two ways. That could work positively or negatively. Generally speaking, right? If you have too many applications within the 6-month period, your score will tank 100%. Excuse me. Because that shows a dependency on credit, right? That shows a dependency on credit. But then on the other hand, if you don't have any credit applications at all, 6 months after 6 months, again, it shows an underexposed account. It shows a lack of history. How can lenders make a decision on you if you're not really giving them much to make a decision on? So that's really your question. That's really your answer. But again, goes back to what I said earlier on in the live. 2 credits could have the same things apply to them, and they'll come out completely different. So on one hand, not having no activity can help you, but on the other hand, it could also damage your credit, especially when you have no history behind your credit already. Right. Hope that answers your question. If I haven't answered it as detailed as you want, literally just drop a message. I'd revisit it. Right. Right. Oh, I missed the question. Apologies, I just had a low battery notification. So I missed a question from Zoe Seaforth. It says, person with bad credit going for the help to buy, would you recommend putting the 5% deposit or putting down more? Definitely a lot more. Firstly, obviously, you guys know I invest in property. So from a property standpoint, when you put down more deposit, you get a better interest deal on the actual mortgage, right? Secondly, when you're putting down a lower deposit and you have a poor credit, then you would definitely struggle, because it's almost like you're at the bottom on both ends. Firstly, your deposit indicates that you're maybe not overly financially stable, hence why you're putting down only 5%. Secondly, now having poor credit also indicates that potentially you may be somewhat of a financial burden. So you would struggle in that case. Whereas if you balanced it off, maybe your credit was not too bad, but you put down maybe 15% deposit, you'd find that you would not only pass, but you will probably get access to better deals than just having a 5% deposit. Hope that answers your question. Right, Everall, down to your question now. If you don't, I've answered that already, haven't I? Right, explore with Ogay. Welcome. Got a reference for credit card in 2015. Monthly standing order agreed, but I defaulted on the sole for 4 months now. Can that throw me back to 6 years? I think I understand your question, but it's not very clear. I would really appreciate if you could ask that again. But I think what you're probably saying is, now that you've defaulted, will that set you back 6 months prior? Not necessarily. Right. Quick one, guys. This is a quick gem. It's you could use COVID a lot, right, as an excuse for certain things, and it could buy you a lot of favors with some of these creditors. So maybe what you need to do is contact the creditor in question, explain to them maybe you've had problems with your employment, and you're looking to obviously bring the account up to date. Are they able to take that default off? Bearing in mind, the whole COVID situation, a lot of creditors are being understanding at the moment. So that might be a good shout. I hope that's answered your question. If it hasn't, then just ask it again. Sent over 2 messages as it was too long. Right, Joe Hunt. I can't see your question, and obviously I can't go into messages right now because I'm on live. But try and summarize it and just ask it as a question, and I'm more than happy to answer it on here. So I don't have to go off. Welcome, Juga J1. Welcome, Judge Judy. Judge Judy. Have we got Judge Judy on here? Welcome, Judge Judy. Welcome. Hopefully it's not a divorce court. Welcome, Real Ibs. Welcome, Keenan 3000. Welcome, Instagrammer. Welcome, Gels. Pack one. Right. I have many direct debits, but my credit file just goes up and down, even if I don't make any hard or soft searches. Will there be a reason for that? Right. To your question, Pack One, people have this misconception that direct debits some way affects your credit positively. Not necessarily, because let's think about it, right? When you're talking about direct debits, you're talking about potentially maybe gym memberships, maybe Amazon Prime, maybe iTunes. Those have no effects on your credit. What you probably need to do, again, this is generic information. It's not tailored to your profile. But maybe the reason why your credit is going up and down is because you have no positive activity building it up. So maybe you need to look at what the makeup of your account is at the moment. Quick one, right? So generally speaking, there's certain things that affect your credit. So for example, you've got your credit cards. For example, you've got your delinquent accounts. You've got your payment history, that including like late payments and so on and so forth. You've got your credit mix. You've got your settled account. You've got your credit age. So there's so many areas that may affect your credit positively or negatively. So it's not just direct debits. Direct debits may have literally no issue, no effect whatsoever. Right. Welcome, King C. Powell and Bilal and Stuffed Jacks. Stuffed Jacks, do you sell food? I mean, it sounds like a name of someone that sort of owns a restaurant, or maybe a restaurant. I don't know. Right. Yes, I'm glad I answered your question, Zoe. I'm glad. Wow. Welcome, Zubai and Lux Scarfold. Welcome. My debt will be paid off end of the year, going to purchase before February. Will it be enough time? If I'm being open and honest, it may be enough time. Depending on how old your debt accounts are at the moment. So even though you're paying them at the end of the year, if they only appeared, let's say, in June or in January this year, then by the time you're applying for your mortgage, it's still under 18 months, and that's considered new. If it's under 18 months, it's still considered new. So you may struggle, but get in touch around February. I've got access to specialist lenders. Obviously my broker, not myself, but my brokers have access to specialist lenders, and I'm more than happy to help you with that. So get in touch when you're sort of ready to make a purchase. Welcome. This is Sock and Miss Mayma. Welcome. Right, partially settled, and I am Tracy. Welcome. Partially settled accounts. Ignore my dogs in the background. I've got 2 Rottweilers. Partially settled accounts can be helpful, right? So my opinion to partially settled accounts is this, right? It depends on a few things. Firstly, it depends on how old your debt is. Let's say if there's 2 years left, because by the way, your delinquent account stays on for 6 years. So if there's 2 years left on it, then it's okay to do a partially settled account because it's coming off in about 2 years. But if it's a very new debt, then I would definitely recommend against it. But with that being said, it's also down to how much sort of disposable income you have, because I would rather you done a partially satisfied account than just have an outstanding debt account and not even attend to it. So that's what I'd say. But bear in mind that lenders consider, partially settled account less favorably than obviously satisfied accounts. So in terms of the ratio, these are things that we'll go through on the masterclass as well. Firstly, you've got a settled account, which is, the best accounts you can have. Then you have a satisfied account. Then you have a partially satisfied or partially settled. And then finally, you have outstanding, debt accounts. Right, so that's that. You sent me an email. Right, I'll get to that. If I don't find it, I'll take a screenshot here as well. If I don't find it, then I'll get back in touch and ask you to resend it. Welcome, Smiles. Welcome, Smiles. Have I answered all the questions you've asked? If I have, then just wave or just say yes or something so I know. If I haven't, then I'm happy to readdress it and try and answer it a bit differently. Welcome. Perfect. Right. 10% battery. That's really bad. I should have really charged my phone beforehand. Oh, that's good. So I've answered every question. That's good. I think we should do more of this, actually. And probably cover a whole host of other topics as well. Because generally speaking, my forte is credit, business, property. Really and truly. That's my forte, and that's what I've done religiously for probably about credit since 2012, property since 2011, and business since probably 2009. As young as being in school. That's really all I've done. Welcome, Emel Khan. Yeah, Emel Khan. I think I said it correctly. Right, go back to Pac's question, and then I'll change locations because I don't have access to any charger here. So let's have a look. Let's plug in my phone here. Right, turn the light on. Get better lighting. No. Go on. Bye. Right. If I have payment plans and the original debt was nearly 6 years ago, will they still clear in 6 years or continue? Right. So legally speaking, there's a statutory limitation on all of that. So after 6 years, it clears off your profile. That doesn't mean that the debt is wiped off. Technically speaking, you still owe them money. But they don't have any legal way of enforcing that. Girls, leave. Go on. Bye-bye. Go on. Bye-bye. Go on. Right. Apologies. My Rottweilers are in the background and just causing trouble. Right. So technically speaking, after 6 years, they can't really do anything to you. They can't send you letters. They can't use a bailiff and so on and so forth. But like I said, technically, you still owe them the money. A settled account has gone off my history. You can't. Great question, Brady boy. You can't. This is what I talk about on the masterclass as well. And I actually do this myself. So I had 3 settled accounts go off my history, but I studied my profile all the time. So I knew they were coming off in around 6 months. So I opened 2 new accounts 6 months before they came off, so that I already have, a replacement for them, if that makes any sense. Because what you don't want to do is get to a stage where all your settled accounts go off and then you have no more settled accounts, because then, that would then become detrimental again to your profile. Settled accounts obviously come off your profile 6 years after they close. Because legally, according to the ICO, they still have to, keep reflecting it on the profile for 6 years after they close it. So if it's come off your profile, you can't get it back. It means that it's over 6 years old. And that's it. Right. Pack 1, you got a lot of questions. That's good. If you're still in debt after 6 years, I've basically answered that, haven't I? So even if you're still in debt after 6 years, it can't affect your actual credit history, but they could still come after you for the outstanding amount. And but there's no legal sort of back into that. So really and truly, there's not much they can do. So like I said, they can't really send you letters, they can't use bailiffs and so on and so forth. So you're quote unquote in the clear. And generally speaking as well, a lot of companies will probably write that off, because once there's no legal backing to help them recover the funds, then it's almost like chasing the wind. So they might as well write it off. What you can do with those companies actually is to be cheeky, and you get let's say you wait 6 months. I'm showing you guys a lot of tricks. 6 months before it comes off your profile, you on the basis of that, you negotiate a very, very, very small partial settlement. So let's say you owe £6,000. You wait until 6 months before it's about to come off your profile, knowing fully well that once it comes off, they can't do anything, and you offer them £600, so 10% of the actual outstanding amount. Most of them are happy to close on that, because they know that if they don't, they probably wouldn't get anything else. Right. Welcome, Aqua_greatness, Megan Tron Gilly. I only paid it off 2 years ago. Oh yeah, that's weird. Contact Experian and or probably contact the company and just ask them why they're not reflecting it. It should be on there. But also bear in mind, sometimes it may just be that that company no longer sends the detail to Experian, right? So bear in mind, when it comes to your credit, there's three. There are three companies that obviously, or credit bureaus, the main ones, or really the only three. So you've got Experian, you've got Equifax, and you've got TransUnion, right? Generally speaking, sometimes a lender might upload your profile to Equifax but not Experian. So you might go on Equifax and things would be on there, but it wouldn't be on there on Experian. So hope that answers your question. Right, so it's very realistic. More realistic if the CCJ is under 12 months. More realistic if the CCJ is under 12 months, and if you hit a few things. I've actually made a post on this a while back. So for example, if you have had, or let's say you informed them and there's evidence that you informed them of you changing your address, but they still chose to send details of the CCJ or details of the outstanding debt to an old address, that would give you grounds for removal. I've made a post on this before. I'm happy to send that to you later on. In terms of removing a CCJ, you just need to go through the court form, the N244 form, and you have a lot more chance if it's under 12 months. I've helped certain clients through that, but what I find is when it's over 12 months, it's very difficult. Very difficult. Right. What are my thoughts on Help to Buy on new builds or new build properties in general? Right, I don't do new builds because I think that there's no value in it. I'm more of an investor than just a casual buyer. So what you find is new builds come at a premium, right? There's nothing you can do on a new build to improve the value. Nothing. It's at the top end of the market. So that's why I'd never touch a new build personally. That's that. Because I'm obviously always looking to make profits on my investments. And in terms of Help to Buy, I'll be honest with you, again, feel free to jump in if you think I'm wrong, but I'm not a big fan of the Help to Buys and ISA accounts and so on and so forth. Because I just feel, I feel as though it works out more expensive and it stings you at a later date. And generally speaking, when it comes to getting help from the government, I'm not a big fan of it. Because it's just my opinion. I see the government sometimes as there's a saying for it, but they would give you something and collect it with their left hand, if that makes any sense. And when they take it from you, you might not be ready for that. So I don't like those. So that's my answer to that. Welcome, Ellie Nova. Right, okay, I'll be joining your masterclass. Check your DMs when you can. Fantastic. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Right, I always recommend. Good question, by the way, Susanna. I always recommend Experian and Equifax. 80% of the lenders in the UK use Experian and Equifax. In fact, Equifax more than Experian. So I usually I pay for both of those. I have Experian and I pay $14.99 for it. Then I have Equifax and I think I paid $7.95 or so. They have a 30-day free trial at the moment as well, so you could just jump on it, and if you're not happy, you could always jump off. Right. Welcome, Mr. Focus. Let's see, how many more questions do we have? And then we'll probably wrap up. Which gives you the most accurate depiction of your credit profile? I use both. Because simply certain things might appear on one and not the other. So you really want to use both to get the most out of it. That wraps up my live today. Thank you guys for joining. If you have any more questions, send me a DM directly. I appreciate you guys for supporting. I appreciate you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys for asking your questions as well. I'm an open book, so ask me anything. One thing you can count on is me being transparent. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and just drop me a DM if you have any more questions. Yeah, that's it, boys and girls. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Start the week right, and hopefully you all win this week as well. Great. Bye.